Nvidia has been making strides by simulating quantum computing with their GPUs. It's not quantum computing. It is massively parallel computing. And so what they're doing is they're taking the and see, that's if you go back in the history of Nvidia was a spin-off of SGI, where the hardware engineers had a split. They had a disagreement on their approach that they should go, and SGI went to the threaded CPU route of what we would think of the CPUs. And so the engineers that disagreed with him, if they were making a CPU, they made a massively parallel CPU. So instead of 2 cores, which is what SGI would have been working on, or 4 cores, they went 1,000 cores. And now I think the 5090 has more than 10,000 cores in it in an equivalent sense. And so the hardware engineers at what was to become Nvidia made this other chip. Now, to find a use for it, they've said, well, this would work for graphic processing, because in graphic processing you have a lot. You could do 1 core per pixel on your screen.
Oh wow!
And so now, you hear about textures and display maps and so forth, and like the background that I have now, right? So there is a GPU that's saying whatever's not moving is background, so replace it, right? I'm getting a camera feed with what's actually behind me, goes into the GPU, and then it makes a calculation across all the pixels in a multi-threaded way and says background, not background. And not background shows in the foreground, and background, you see a brick wall. I guess the point of that, though, is that because NVIDIA has been building these data centers with GPUs, they've been able to take an application of their trillions of cores, if you will, and through their trillions of cores, they can simulate quantum computing. They're just doing it in parallel. So they essentially have the biggest supercomputer in the world, and it's organized GPU way instead of CPU way. So it's very free flowing on how they assign the processing. It's a sieve. CPUs, where we talk about CPUs, act as like a recipe where you do one instruction at a time. GPUs, like NVIDIA, they operate more as a sieve, where you organize all your data, and then you let it drop through the sieve, and you collect it at the bottom, right? And in the video sense, here's all the pixels I want to display. They drop through the sieves, textures get applied, whatever they're doing, you have the result. And then you do that again, and you get 30 frames per second, you get 200 frames per second, and so on. So that's what the GPU is doing for graphics, where the CPU is, well, as long as we don't have memory contention, I can parallelize processing. But as soon as I have a memory content, part of what's happening at a CPU is there's a vigilant analysis of what data instructions are referencing. And if 2 threads are referencing the same data, one thread gets blocked until the other thread completes. And so that's part of the inefficiency of a CPU, is that it's constantly checking for contention, and it's constantly crippling itself to avoid contention, where the GPU it doesn't care about contention. Everything flows through. Now, there are GPU, because they're using it for computation, modern GPUs have ways to avoid memory contentions, which slow it down. similarly, but they've come at the other end of it. So they kind of have a data first approach to processing, where the CPU has instruction first.